Hello, welcome to CEO Insights, the Living Organization podcast. My name is Vitaly Gimin. With me is Markus Koehler. He's a Senior General Manager of HR at Microsoft. Welcome, Markus.
Welcome, Italy. Good to see you. Thank you so much for your time.
It's really a pleasure, really a pleasure to speak to you today. Markus, the topic we uncover in this podcast is how do we support change and transformation organizations? And you've been through so many years of corporate transformation. What would you say is the most challenging part of this process?
Well, I think people. How do you get the people along, right? I think this is the biggest challenge, actually. And how do you make the change at the end of the day sustainable? I think that's a challenge.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I've been hearing. And you mentioned before, as we were talking, that McKinsey study. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I mean, I think if you look, the McKinsey study is saying that I don't know, 75% of all the changes are not successful, right? So I think you need to ask yourself, why is this the case? I think that obviously there are multiple reasons for it, but I think very often it is that we are doing too many changes at the same time. And probably as well, especially nowadays, I think with this immense innovation that we see based on artificial intelligence, this constant change that's happening, I think people are just getting tired of it, and we are not giving enough time as well for people to embrace it and digest it at the end of the day.
Yeah, it makes total sense to me. You know, we experience it literally. We experience it in our home life, not just work life. Things
100%.
changing, political disturbance. And why is it then? I mean, as leaders, we understand. I was in the corporate world, and we understand that people are kind of sensitive to this change, and they're not coping very well with so much speed and change. Why is it we haven't designed a better system for people management?
Well, it's super complex, right? Because at the end of the day, every person is individual in a way, and has a different is living in a different situation. So you need to take all this into account. And emotions is something that, it's easy to measure, but it's definitely not something that you can program today, right? So how do you deal with emotions? I think from an HR perspective, what I sometimes see as well is that in a way, I think we take ourselves sometimes even too serious. What I mean by that is that I think from an HR perspective, we sometimes believe, at least that was as well one of my personal learnings, we believe that we know the answers already and kind of tell the business how to do it, which I think very often that's when we fail as well. I think we need to create an environment where the business is taking their people on the journey. And I think it's a journey. And I think very often we don't take the time for a journey. We just are so action driven that we do one change after another, and we are not thinking through enough. And we're changing the organization every 3 months, so that people at some point are saying, so, okay, well, maybe I'll wait another 3 months and the next change is happening anyways, right? So why do I need to, but why do bother now? And I think that's something where there's a change fatigue almost, right? That people are tired of it. As well, because I think we are completely underestimating the importance of communication. I think that's what I see all the time.
Yeah. Oh, communication is been the pain of my management career.
Yeah. Well, nowadays I think we all want to see as well the vulnerability of the leaders, right? Which is not something where everybody feels comfortable with, right? So I think people have a very good taste, a very good smell about kind of, is it authentic or not, right? Yeah. And we want to see the authentic leaders nowadays. Again, because otherwise we go through so much transformation, through so much change that only if you as a leader, as a manager, kind of shows well the authenticity that it's really important for you, I think then people are are as well able and willing to follow you. And I think that's what we try to create. We try to create this followership, right, for the large
Yeah.
part of the organization.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for that. I want to throw something at you, but in a living organization, we kind of realize that people are living beings, and it's
Yes.
not that they're resisting change, is they're resisting being changed from the top. Yeah, it's a big difference.
Huge difference. I fully agree with you. That's why I think this authenticity is so important, right? But then as well, taking people on the journey. So they don't want to hear it only from you as a leader, right? I mean, this is because, I mean, of course, if you don't believe into as a lead, into a leader, into the transformation or change that you're driving, then I mean, there's a fundamental issue anyways, right? But I think people want to understand as well, what does it mean into my day-to-day work, right? How I'm engaging as well as, especially as a people manager. I mean, sometimes I think we believe our jobs are all super different. Actually, at the end of the day, they are not, right? We're all dealing with people, right? We're all dealing with emotions, etc. So I think they want to learn and hear how, Vitaly, you did this when you were a younger manager and becoming more senior manager. What was your journey through that, right? I think these real examples, these real challenges that you're facing day to day, I think that's something people want to listen and want to hear from, because that's what they can, where they can relate to, you know, instead of theory or just beautiful stories whatsoever, because reality is not always beautiful, right? So I think having the real stuff, I think that's what people are interested in.
Yeah.
And then I think what was my experience as well, then they're as well willing to invest time into it, right? If it's just artificial, then I think people are saying, you're wasting my time, and then they move on or not listening anymore.
Yeah, if it's just kind of corporate theories and corporate strategies and the PowerPoints on the wall.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, exactly. Beautiful PowerPoints. That's not making the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel real. This is not how we manage our family. I keep going to our family unit, right? We don't put PowerPoints for our kids and so on. Like they don't care about our. Yeah,
No,
so
but you're talking to your friends, right? Or you're
yeah,
talking or even to your own parents, whatever, right? But you're talking to other parents as well, and say, hey, I'm dealing with this situation. I mean, how did you do that, etc. Right? I mean, that's where you try, and then you listen to it because it becomes real, right?
yeah, we share from the. It almost seems to me that we kind of forgotten. We've got the mind. The organizational mind is working really well. You know, we can schedule, plan, and all this, the logic, but we forgot the heart.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like we're not heart-centered enough.
But the heart attaches us, right? The heart is that brings us on the journey and keeps us on the journey. That's why I think it's very important as well from an HR perspective, to make sure that you're providing these kind of platforms where people can articulate their concerns as well, positive things, right? It's not only negative, but where they can really where they are in a safe environment and can talk openly, without any politics. We know all that in large corporations we see that happening, without any politics, that they feel safe and can address really their concerns, right? And not being seen as negative or not willing to support the change or the transformation, but articulating their real concerns. And if you know that, I think then you can articulate, then you can respond to it as well. And I think as well, it's a mistake if we as leaders or managers believe that we need to have all the answers. I think this is long time ago, right? That's why if you're providing these platforms, people can figure it out themselves in a way, you know, which is a self-healing process sometimes, you know.
Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. This is what I've seen. I'm now having done a lot of research and interviews, over 800 interviews. The best organizations, whether it be divisional managers, they don't exactly they don't assume they know everything. They let the people actually decide as much as they're capable. You know, obviously some people are not, but they'll push the decision making and the power and the innovation back onto the culture where the people are. It's not from the top. It's done now at where it makes sense. You know, sometimes
Yes.
it's from the top, but it's wherever it makes sense.
100% agree. But that's a big challenge for you as a manager as well. I went through that myself, right? Because sometimes you have people that are not as experienced or mature, and they're looking at you and ask you, so tell me what I have to do. And you say, well, I'm
The
not
boss.
telling you. So then you be seen as weak, or you don't know it, or whatever, but you're not doing it on purpose, right? Because you say, well, you need to learn, or we need to learn this together in a way, instead of me telling you, because then you're not making progress, right? But it's tough. It's tough for the people, but as well for you as a manager, to go through that experience and showing the resilience as well, and showing as well that yeah, you can deal with the uncertainty of with the situation, which can be very unpleasant, because it could be so easy to say, well, do it this and this way and then we're done, right? But that's not long term, right? That's very short term.
Yeah, and it's not never. Markus, thank you so much. It's really good to hear from a seasoned professional who's gone through the whole, the whole circle of things to come with that kind of
The journey will
wisdom.
continue.
Yeah, and the journey will continue, it'll never end. But almost everything you said really resonates with me, and with with the principles that we were creating in the living organization. I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people. This is what good management is about. It's not knowing it all. It's really listening and working together as a team. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate your wisdom today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you. All the best.